their work as the patient advocate. And they think of the purpose and the impact. This is a picture of just a collection of a small team of our employees at a little campfire. What we started doing in 2002, at the time when we were running out of money, is we said we're no longer just going to do management retreats, which is something we've always done. We're now doing employee retreats. We're doing service retreats. We're taking the whole staff of the hotel, the housekeepers, the bellmen, the bartenders, off-site for the day. And those people are going to go off-site for the day, and they're going to actually spend the day figuring out where the hotel's going this year. And when you ask housekeepers, a housekeeper from Guatemala who has been working in the American hotel industry for 25 years and has never even gotten a job review, and you're taking her off-site and helping her understand where the company's going, where the hotel's going, and how we should spend our capital improvement dollars in the hotel, and what customer satisfaction, we go over the customer satisfaction scores, we go over the employee satisfaction scores that are all anonymous surveys. Do you think they get a little more engaged? They do. And that's part of the reason we have such low turnover and why we got that award. You know, Google was first. We were second in the Bay Area. Google was first. I mean, they have a much larger budget for employee activities and a much nicer campus. But what we learned is we need to acquaint our employees on a regular basis with their purpose and impact. So how do we do that? We do it with monthly staff meetings where we have guests come in and tell their stories. We have a guest who came in and told her story not long ago who was actually on the roof of the building. I won't go through the whole story. She was on the roof of the building ready to jump off the building because she just lost her job. And one of the housekeepers went up to the roof, knew this guest well. She was a regular guest in the hotel, and heard the door of the roof on her floor open. And she went up to that roof. And this Filipina Filipina maid, housekeeper, said to the woman who was on the parapet about to jump, she said, "You can't jump, you have to try my lumpia." It's a true story. Because that day, one of the things we do that creates meaning for our housekeepers is to have a weekly potluck. And each of the housekeepers, almost all of whom are women, bring the food of their country in, and they have an international potluck. And so they were having a potluck that day, and she said, "I want to bring all the housekeeping staff to your guest room, and we want to have lunch with you." And so the woman got down from the parapet. Now she goes and tells that story. You hear that story as a housekeeper, you're like, wow, oh, they're crying. Oh, God. So helping people understand their purpose and impact, it's not an easy thing to do. This is not easy to do, but it's really valuable. It helps people move up the pyramid. So let's go to the customer pyramid for a minute. We're going to spend a little bit more time on this one. Customer pyramid, Henry Ford said 100 years ago, if I'd asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. It's because customers, as Steve Jobs, again, we'll talk about it again, never would do a focus group because he said, the customers don't know what is coming 5 years from now. We have to figure that out for them. This is the customer pyramid. The baseline for the customer pyramid is please meet my expectations. Whether you're a defense contractor or a dry cleaner, that's the bottom line of what a customer's looking for. Just meet my expectations, because we as humans are just expectations machines. We wake up in the morning and we have expectations. That's just how we are. And when we buy a product, we have expectations. And that's what creates satisfaction. And in the old world of 25 years ago, GM and Sears could live off just customer satisfaction because there wasn't as much competition, and that's not true anymore. There's a lot more competition. And because there is, you cannot just look for satisfied customers, because according to Fred Reichheld at Bain, 70% of satisfied customers defect. So you need to move up another level. A successful customer is when they feel their desires are met. And generally the desires are met when a customer feels like whether the training or the technology of the company has helped them to feel like you understand my needs and you understand my desires. And I've told you, I may even have told you what they are, and you've kept track of them. And in the case of a hotel, it means like, yeah, we know I'm coming back to my favorite hotel, I'm going to have the right kind of pillow, I'm in the right kind of room, etc. Desires are met, that creates commitment. But the top of the pyramid here is where the magic happens again. And here's the challenge. Remember I said life and business is all about where you pay your attention? We as leaders pay our attention to manage what we can measure. And what we can measure is usually what's at the bottom of the pyramid. In the hotel business, it's our customer satisfaction surveys that ask, was your check-in efficient? Was your room or your bathroom clean? These are base of the pyramid kind of things. Generally, we don't, as companies and as industries, do a very good job of asking questions about the top of the pyramid. And what we need to do in the 21st century as leaders is to get smarter about how do we manage and measure what's at the top of the pyramid, because that's where the magic happens. So great companies create evangelists. Apple's been mentioned a lot by me and by others. Apple is a great company because they are remarkable at understanding the unrecognized needs of the customers, so the customer had no clue it was coming. And Sony had no clue the iPod was coming. And there's a lot of examples of Reed Hastings at Netflix, doing the disruptive innovation for Blockbuster. Fred Smith, who created FedEx. I remember 25 or 30 years ago when I could actually send a package from San Francisco to Miami overnight. Unfathomable. For those who are younger, you're like used to it, because what happens is over time, what was initially an unrecognized need, gravity. It's like our bodies. It just comes down. It just comes down. And it goes to expectations. And Fred Smith, in fact, about 10 years after FedEx launched, and they were initially extremely successful, and then they became a commodity, he said, I thought I was in the business of transporting goods. I came to realize I'm in the business of peace of mind. And that's when they spent something like almost $1 billion on the logistics around how to track packages, so that at any moment you, as the receiver or the sender, know exactly where your package is, which was initially maybe not even an unrecognized need, it was more of a desire, and became a commodity relatively soon. So we're in the business of just climbing this peak, and then knowing that it's, at some point we're just going to have to go climb it again, and climb it again, and climb it again. So great companies do this well. How do they do it? I'm going to give you 4 quick examples, but they're all B2C examples, and then I'm going to go to B2B, because you're B2B. You're not a whole lot of B2C here.